Hey guys, good morning or good afternoon or good evening. I don't know exactly when you might get to watch this video. I know, or at least my experience has been that the internet access is not the best where you are. So I'm going to try to keep this video short, keep it under 5 minutes, so that if it does buffer a little while, it won't take you too long to watch it. I wanted to touch base with you for a couple of reasons. One, just to say thank you. You guys are out there in Oklahoma right now doing the work of Penrod Baptist Church. I mean, more importantly, you're doing the work of the Great Commission, but you're doing that in the name of our church family. And so thank you for representing us and for your willingness to go and all the hard work that you're doing. The other thing that I want to do is just maybe offer you a challenge. And I've asked for some help in doing this. I think you should be receiving a video every day, Monday through Friday this week from myself or someone else. But the way that I want to offer a challenge to you is simply by letting you know what we did this past Sunday while you were gone. We looked at a story from the Old Testament, and it happened around 750 BC, and it was at a time in the history of Israel when things were going really well. They were prosperous, they were productive, but with that prosperity also came influence from outside nations. They began to marry outside of Israel. They began to adopt practices outside of what God had taught them to do, and so some things grabbed their attention. And we've talked about this before. You can have your attention grabbed by something, or you can pay attention to something. And Israel should have been paying attention to God, but they chose to let other things grab their attention. And so the story that we have comes from the book of Hosea, and Hosea is a minor prophet, and he tells the story. Really, it's his own life story. God used his life to teach his people a lesson, and the way that he did that was he called Hosea to marry a woman, but it wasn't just any arranged marriage. It was to a woman named Gomer, who happened to be a harlot, a prostitute. And not only was she a prostitute whenever she married Hosea, but she remained a prostitute even after making the marriage vows. And it was a terrible, it's such a sad story of how Hosea over and over has to go and retrieve her from the temple, the temple prostitution. Basically, she would sell herself to the temple, or she would sell herself into slavery. And over again, Hosea would have to go, and he would have to scoop her up in his arms and bring her back home. And often he would have to pay, at least once he'd have to actually pay the price of a slave to get her back. And what this was simply a picture of how God was dealing with Israel. Israel was behaving like Gomer. The Israelites had just abandoned the principles of God, abandoned the relationship with God for seemingly no good reason. I mean, obviously for prosperity and for that sort of thing, but what they were trading God for was far less than what he was worth. And he wanted them to see that. And so it's a story for Israel, but it's also a story for you and me. It's a reminder that really Christ did for you and me, and continues to do for you and me what Hosea was doing for Gomer, what God had done for Israel. So my challenge to you is not only this week, but even after you return home. Let's not let things grab our attention, but rather let's pay attention to God. Let's pay attention to our relationship with him rather than all the other things that so easily distract us. Also, in this video, I'm going to attempt, and hopefully it will be there whenever I finish, adding a link to the bottom of the screen. If it's not already there, then hopefully it will be before I stop the video, to a song. It's called Hosea. It tells in a really beautiful way, really, the story of Hosea and Gomer. And I just want to ask you to, if you've got the access to internet to do it, to listen to the song, just kind of reflect on it, and maybe more specifically reflect on how your relationship with God, is also reflected in this story and in this song. We'll be praying for you. If you need us through the rest of the week, I hope you'll let us know. God bless you, and again, thank you for representing Penrod Baptist Church.